Have you ever wondered what separates a beginner to a tryhard, and what do pros do that makes them so much better than everyone else? Well, I used to dream about going pro, so today we're going to find out. Profix is unfortunately the beginner for today's video, and here he actually is doing something good. He's rotating in, but there's so many players around him. So what is the right thing to do? Well, once you're in zone, don't greed it, okay? When there's a lot of players around, the best thing is to just box up and wait till the next opportunity, or when you have to rotate. Because if he keeps going forward, there's a high chance he gets in a fight and he dies. And by the way, Profix later in this game gets into a fight with a pro player, so make sure you stick around to see, does he win that fight, or how does he get away from the pro player. Even though he's a beginner, he does so many things right. You see the way here, he's using this little bit of a ridge or hill as cover, because none of these players can see him because there's a big high mountain, or he's below the big high mountain. And because it's in zone though, he rotates to it and gets on a nice high layer, which now will be great for him to scout, look for enemies, and to plan his next rotate. The next thing that he does well, so many big beginners players do wrong and they die in the cash cups because of it. As you can see here, he's rotating with the bat. Now he's stopped. That is one of the good things that he does. If you greed using the bat and just run in the open and pray to God that you're not going to get killed if there's players looking at you, you're going to die. Okay, you have to play it safe and take breaks, either to get your sprint back or till the enemy doesn't look at you, or when there's other opportunities to run ahead. You can't greed it, and because Profix didn't greed it, he's now in a decent position and can move from here. Tuz is a Russian pro player with tens of maybe even 100,000s of earnings in Fortnite. He's an OG, he's been around for so long, and as you can see, he's on the edge of this beginner's box right now. So is he going to get jumped on and killed, or will the beginner be able to survive? And as you can see, he's playing a bit too open here. I think it's a bit risky for Profix, and he gets punished for that. He wasn't really playing behind a nice right hand peak, and I'm surprised, honestly, that Tuz didn't play more aggressive. But to be honest, in sort of cash cups, usually playing a bit more passive and using your loot is how you survive. Profix's game nearly did come to an end though, because as you can see here, he has hardly any materials. He does the right thing though and drops onto low ground. When you're low on mats, dropping onto low ground is always the best play, because you can use old builds, and there's other people that are scuffed usually drop onto low ground because they have no mats, and that is when you can kill them and get a refresh because of Siphon. And as you'll see here very soon, this player, he's pressuring Profix, and Profix, just good reactions, is able to get a kill. And look at how much materials he got from that kill. To be honest, a bit fortunate. That player should not have been in that position with that many materials. But what's another thing you shouldn't do? Well, go for high ground when there's two players apparently playing high ground and can beam you. Profix again in a bad situation here, but he does the old reliable and drops onto low ground. Again, low ground is great, but it is dangerous too. Someone could have very well and easily have jumped into his box. I mean, this guy must be low on materials. He's got no mats. He's trying to psycho up on the Profix, and this is where the Siphon mats are coming in handy. Even though he's scuffed on HP, he's able to stay up on high ground. He's got nothing, now just has to play pure reaction and kind of gets lucky. I mean, he survived off a little pinch of salt of HP. I like this play though, reharvesting the tree. Sometimes guys, you have to be very aware, and you can actually win games by simply just reharvesting more, because you don't have to go for refreshes, go for risky fights, because you just have mats. Partial replays does sell there, we can't see how he gets that kill, but it's crucial. He gets Siphon, so even if it went down to Storm, he actually might win with the HP that he has. But these two players, they're scuffing each other. It's going to make his life a lot easier. I like the fact that he's just staying here. He's not being greedy for a few extra points for a kill. He's playing for the win because it's worth it. And this guy does tap off for him. Profix staying calm, just hits his shots. And that's how the beginner won his game in the Soda Cash Cup. But now onto the Tryhard, who's in a more difficult lobby because he had more points and uses different strategies to win. New is the name of this Tryhard player, and as you can see, he is trying to kill this guy. He's trying to chase him down, which is interesting because, as we had seen from the beginner, he wasn't really playing aggressive. He was playing smart, doing the good rotates, but he wasn't like rushing people down in mid-game like this, which is interesting to see maybe the different levels of confidence in between the beginner and the tryhard. But just because he's confident and aggressive doesn't mean he won't stop going for an elimination when he thinks it's not worth it. And as soon as that player just gets that far away, he hasn't got that much of a beam on him, doesn't have an advantage, he does the right thing of rotating away. But this guy must have had a thirst for blood or something, because it doesn't take long for him to find his next victim. This is important though, is in the fact that he got an advantage. And what does that do? Gives him the reason to get in, and he gets the kill. Now he was made 1 HP, so imagine if he didn't have the advantage, he would have just died. A similarity that you're about to notice between the beginner and the tryhard, and probably the pro, is they rotate quite smartly. With this item, he's taking a break. These are rotation items that have sprinting involved. You need to always take a break, and because you're out in the open, you can't just keep running without somebody not noticing you. So please take a break. You can do good in Fortnite with any kind of playstyle, passive or aggressive, but one thing is for sure, this tryhard player is definitely more on the aggressive side. He does spot though that weak wall, and now he's in the box and he's catching the opponent off guard. So when an opponent does edit a weak wall and you are right beside it, maybe you can catch them off guard, but be careful because there will always be third parties around, especially in game, that might ruin your game. And as you can see, New having to use his shield because he got hurt. The thing is though, he isn't scared and he is able to save his loot because he goes back, and for some reason there is still loads of loot for him to get. So now he's in a great position to win this game. Playing high ground with low materials usually isn't a good idea, and that is the situation New is in here. But the thing he's doing good that is maybe salvaging this is he's putting pressure on his opponents, and I mean, he just got himself a kill. You really won't be able to play high ground for long unless you get refreshes, and if you don't, you'll eventually get spleefed and get killed. So you really have to play aggressive. You can't just wait until your match run out unless it's like one of the really small zones. But anyway, 3 players left. Let's just see how does he finish out this game. Again, he's putting down pressure. New is not a scared player, and this is evident as the play he's about to do. He's trying to get in, but he also is playing a bit safe, and player eventually exposed himself, and that is how the tryhard won in the Soda Cash Cup. But now for the player that we've all been waiting for, the pro, Moneymaker. These little mounds of gold are everywhere, but it's interesting because Moneymaker destroyed that, he gets himself just enough gold to get big shields at this vending machine. But before he goes for them, he does the right thing and safely destroys all the little hiding spots that some beginner tryhard player could be hiding in. Guys, the best of the best, don't die to stupid little things like a guy camping in a box. Yes, sometimes it happens, but the pros, it's happened to them so often that they know to check for these things. So please, in your games, don't be greedy, don't be rushing, check, be paranoid, and be safe. What happens though when a pro player gets the surprise on? Well, Moneymaker here, he's beamed. He does make a mistake and being on that wooden wall, and you're going to see this gives an excuse for the other player, ADN, to get in. He's like an OG pro player, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, really big mistake, and Moneymaker gets punished for it. The thing is though, he doesn't panic. Alright, a lot of beginners, tryhards, they would panic in the situation, but as you can see, Moneymaker, he gets the surprise shot off, and now he gets himself even the kill, and now he has a lot of loot. And what he does for most of the game is just he sits there, but until this time, he has to rotate. But before he rotates, he scouts, he sees Haris, a really good pro player there. And you might be wondering, why is he rotating? He's already in zone. Well, he was on the edge. And what will happen, once Storm comes, pushes everybody in, it will be packed on that edge, and it will be really hard to rotate to the next one. So him going early here, more central, means he'll be closer to the next zone, means, and he'll be away from less players, means he'll be able to rotate much easier and be a lot less likely to die. Even though that was a good rotate, pros can also make mistakes and do bad rotates. Moneymaker here going for a splash in the open and gets absolutely beamed. Mistake there was, first of all, getting caught with his movement in an open area, and two, it was the timing. He didn't even scout ahead and see if there was a lot of players ahead and maybe looking with ARs. But after some time, after actually scouting, Moneymaker, he sees a path that he can take, and with the gold splash, as you see, but he's getting caught here again, but because he actually has builds, he doesn't get punished for it. But with the gold splash, he now is able to kind of rotate in this direction that you can see he's looking at. But he does it safely. First of all, that rock there, boom, protection. And then there's more protection. He's going behind the builds and not running ahead in front of them. Now this is a bit of a psycho play. He tries to get in, but when you're confident, when you're a pro, those refreshes can be the refreshes that allow you to win. Not get a top 5, the ones that allow you to get number 1 and gain way more points. I also like the fact that he was holding his walls there, keeping himself safe. If anyone shot the wall, he would be fine. And see this opponent, maybe he should have held his walls, because Moneymaker knows he's weak because he was just in a fight, and that is why he's playing aggressive. And what does he do? Go for his wall, goes take the left hand side. That was really nice, and he now gets himself an easy refresh. A big part of a pro's game, and as we saw earlier, beginners and tryhards, is being good at rotating. The fact that he went to the left here means he's on dead side, means there will be less players, and he can reharvest this tree without getting jumped on and killed. You might think because he's a pro player, he'll be able to take height the first time he goes for it, but you're going to see what actually happens when he goes for it. He was scouting, he knows there's an opportunity there to take it, but when he goes up, he accidentally does that, and then it's just not worth it. He doesn't have the surprise factor anymore on the high ground player, but he does still stay on a high layer because maybe later he will be able to go for it, and he also just has a lot of mats. You really don't want to be going onto lower ground the whole time. If you have enough mats, stay on a higher layer, especially with the bat where you can jump off and rotate with it. Let's also not ignore the fact that he just got himself a nice refresh, spotted the player's weak, and used the collateral AR to break through. It's really fast at spraying, so it was the perfect weapon there to break through that floor. What do you need to do to win games? Well, it's take high ground, and that is exactly what Moneymaker is trying to do here. The thing is, it's a good player. He's making it difficult for him. But the sad truth is, we don't get to see how he takes it because of replay mode. But I mean, here you see that he builds up a little bit, player jumps down, and Moneymaker also drops down, because if he started tarping from such a high ground there, he could get shot down, either die to fall damage, or when he's falling, a player beams him and then they get the advantage. I do like the fact that he's not staying in one position here, but he is applying down lots of pressure. When you're on high ground, you can't just sit up there, twiddle-dilly, and I mean, we saw that with the Tryhard. He was putting down good pressure. So it is interesting to see the similarities of the beginners, tryhards, and the pros. But I mean, this Moneymaker, he was in the most difficult lobbies, and yeah, he did have a different playstyle, to be fair. Honestly, I thought the Tryhard was maybe the more aggressive player, but the pro is the pro. So again, this is what I mean. The playstyle is not what decides if you're going to be a pro or a beginner. It's the strategies that you use and the smart plays that you do. If you are a beginner trying to go pro, maybe watch this video. It will definitely help you.